Hey out there, thanks for tuning in. It's Friday, TGIF. Thank God I'm free. Shout out to Al. Al pointed out that the board was backwards the other day. I forgot to flip the video. I'm really not that tech savvy. Pretty good at real estate, but tech, not so much. I got my 25th subscriber. Yes, 25. Today I'm going to talk about multiple exit strategies. It gets exciting, so don't go anywhere. One of the nice things about real estate investing is no 2 days are the same. Things change. Depending on how I look at it, I could either be in fear or excited. Today I'm excited. For instance, let me give you a for instance. The country house, I made a couple videos about that. Country house we were going to sell. We finished it. I put it on the market. I got a couple offers, great offers, was going to make a nice profit on it. That was my go-to the whole time. However, the deals fell through. I made a couple videos about that. Buyer's remorse, dealing with inspectors, stuff like that. The deals fell through and I got this sign. Not like a sign like, hey Harry, you must change course. Nah, it wasn't like that. It was like, hey, 2 deals fell through. My real goal is to hold on to property, build up a landlording empire, and here I was selling it. So anyway, it went from sell to rent, all in a matter of like a few days. Took it off the market, put it on as a rental. Now here's a shout out to Diane, my wife. Diane's amazing with people. She met with 2 couples one day, and the second couple had some kids. When I watch Diane deal with people, I feel socially awkward because she's a natural. It was like they were members of her family. And that doesn't mean like willy-nilly we're going to take anybody and their brother into a rental unit. I'm still taking a full application. I'm still doing the background search and all that kind of stuff. However, Diane was a natural with these guys. So we got the lease. I ran the application, got the background search, everything else. Everything worked out. Got the lease signed. They brought over their deposit, their first half-month rent because they're moving in on Tuesday. It moved fast. Thank you, Diane. So, the country house went from sell to rent. Well, what about Loretta, Harry? You made a couple videos about Loretta. This big project you're going to be doing and stuff like that. Well, that kind of changed too. We went from Loretta, I was going to fix and rent. However, now I'm selling it. Let me put sell right there. I met with the new buyer down there today. He's kind of dragging his butt. I'm not feeling that excited about this buyer. However, I met him down there today. I gave him till the end of next week to go through with the sale. Like, I want out of that project. It's a little bit of a distance, not really my cup of tea. I'm going someplace with this whole thing. First, I want to give you the update on the properties, but now I really want to talk about multiple exit strategies. I know I'm not the first one that came up with this. You make your money when you buy a property, not when you sell a property. When you buy a property, what does that mean? Let's summarize. Buy right. If you buy right, then you get to have multiple exit strategies. What does buying right mean? For me, buying right means I want to run a couple different scenarios when I go to purchase a house. I'm going to take the country house into consideration, and then I'll take Loretta. The country house, I bought it for $200. I knew that it would be worth $330 or so. I'm waiting for the refinance appraisal to come in, but I think it's going to be somewhere around $330, $335. So when I went into the house, I say $200,000 I'm going to buy it for. Let's say I put $40 into it, or slip a couple dollars in my pocket out of that $40. If I sold it for $330 after running all the numbers, we're talking about, I don't know, $75,000. It's a great profit, especially after 90 days. However, what happens if I get in a jam and I got to get out of it? Could I sell that house as is? So anyway, I give you the ARV. Let's say it's $330. So I already know the profit potential is there if I go to sell it. But what happens if I get in a jam? Something happens. I don't know, an emergency or something like that. And I got to get out of it as is. Can I sell that house for, let's say, $240? All the money I have into it? $240, $250 as is? When the ARV is $330? Heck yeah, I can. How quickly do you think I could sell it as is? Pretty friggin' quickly. So, what about the time factor? Well, if I'm in a jam as is, I got to be able to sell it quick. Do you think a house for $240 that's worth $330 is going to sell fast? Yes, it is. So, I run all those different scenarios just to see if it makes sense because I want to have multiple exit strategies. How about one other factor? How about what happens if 2 deals fall through? Now, I'm making it sound like I knew 2 deals were going to fall through and I was going to wind up here. That's not the case. However, I did take into consideration all these factors. So the country house, 2 deals fell through. Got that sign. Again, not that heavy sell sign or rent sign. It was, you know what, this isn't going through. You want to hold on to real estate anyway, Harry? Hold it. Now, can you? Well, I had to run numbers. If I refinance it, what's the maximum loan to value I can get on it? What's the interest rate? Could the rent support that mortgage payment? And in this case, yes, it's going to work out quite nicely. So that's all the different options I run through a property, or at least what could I do if I had to get out of a property. And if they all add up and I can't get hurt, then it creates options. Multiple exit strategies create options for exit strategies. Sell as is, sell after it's repaired, rent it out. And options reduce risk. If you go into a property and the only way it's going to work out is if you sell that property, then you're probably going to be stressing out while you're renovating the property. I try to always take into consideration the other exit strategies. So here's what the country house will look like now that we're going to rent it out. We're getting $2,500 a month rent. I really didn't think we were going to get that much. I thought maybe we'd get $2,350 or $2,400. But after I was researching the area, there's no other houses on the market. And apartments, like 1, 2-bedroom apartments in Mattawan, were going for like $2,300, $2,400. So $2,500 was actually a deal. These people even said it after they rented. They said that they looked at properties to rent. They couldn't find anything. So we get $2,500 a month rent, which is great. More than I thought. I love that about this when that works out like that. Total PITI payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, is going to be about $2,150. Now, it could be lower. However, I got a high interest rate. Remember I made that video about when you refinance, the third R in the BRRRR method? Refinancing, when I do it like this without the house being seasoned, so in this case it's only 90, 100 days since I've had the house, that puts a little bit of a wedge into conventional financing, so I have to pay higher interest rate. Also, you know what I had to do? I got to take a 3-year prepayment penalty. So if I pay this loan off within 3 years, I got to pay a little bit of a penalty on it. However, the good news is, I'm still going to be making about $350 a month on this. Pulled a little bit of cash out, not that much. I don't have all the numbers yet on that. I'll give it to you as soon as I get the appraisal back on the house. But anyway, it's going to work out fine. The nice part is I'm going to leave between $75,000 and $90,000 in equity. So my net worth, our net worth, is going to be going. So that was the country house. Loretta, that had a huge renovation budget, $128,000. That I don't want to actually do, that I want to sell now. I'm going to sell Loretta, hopefully next week. If it doesn't sell by next week, I spoke to somebody today. He has cash, and he'll buy pretty quick. I'm going to make a little bit of money. However, here's the nice thing about Loretta. I didn't use any of my own money. I borrowed the down payment and the closing costs from a private investor, and I got the rest of the loan from a hard money lender. Now, I don't know if I'm coining this term, multiple exit strategies. If something happens and this buyer doesn't come through, and then this one I spoke to on the phone today doesn't come through, I still have financing in place, so I could go and renovate this thing. However, I'd rather sell it. So here's a couple suggestions when you're going out to look at a piece of property, whether or not it's right to buy. Don't fall in love. Don't fall in love with the house. That doesn't mean with your partner. So if you don't fall in love with the house, that means you can walk away more easily. I've seen some people go in and they fall in love with this thing. They're willing to pay more than they should or give something else up that they never should. Because then my second suggestion is be realistic. For the country house, for example, I never counted on $2,500 a month rent. I counted on $2,250, $2,300, and I'd still break even, wouldn't get any cash out. However, I could do it that way. So be realistic with your numbers. Don't fall in love with it, and be realistic. So I didn't know how these properties were going to work out. I had plans in the beginning. You can look back at the videos that I made. I was going to sell this one. I was going to rent this one. And now all of a sudden things change. If this isn't exciting to you, it is to me. Here's why it's exciting. It always works out. We're making money on both transactions. Now, I left this part out. Besides exciting, the person that's renting the country house, it's a couple with some children. And he came over, and he's grateful to be renting the house. This is like a side benefit of real estate. I talk about money, net worth, buying right. I do talk about win-win situations and stuff, but when I spoke to this man and how important this house is to him and his family, maybe I'm becoming sensitive, but I get a little sentimental and a little, anyway, make a long story short, if you want to make a difference in somebody's life, I'm not saying get into real estate investing, and that's the sole reason why you get into it. But as a side benefit, it's nice. I'll give you a little story. He's got 2 small kids, and I had said to him, do you plan on getting any pets in the future? Get a little choked up thinking about it. Would you want to get any pets in the future? It wasn't in the contract. It says no pets. And he said, well, we have a cat, but I gave him away because in the ad it says no pets. And I said, no, you could bring in a cat. I was just asking you. If you want to get a dog in the future, just let me know. He said, oh, the kids are going to be so happy that we can get Figaro the cat back. So I got to make somebody's day. And that's just a nice side benefit. Until next week.